In the first part of the lesson, we've discussed the most commonly used principles for logo animation in After Effects. Now let's get to practice. We'll start with a simple logo reveal. Then we'll work with easings. And as we go through various details, we'll analyze all other animation techniques and methods. We'll animate the Google logo in 2 steps. First, we'll work through all the basic movements. Second, we'll proceed to minor details. Another important thing. Before the start, imagine the animation in your head, what it should look like. Even if you don't know how to implement it, it doesn't matter. Think through its possible variations, what tools to use, and so on. This will allow you to predict some of the possible issues you might face while creating the animation and resolve them beforehand. It will also help to understand its general dynamics and select the most suitable idea, taking all of that into account. This will enable you to save time while creating animation, because you don't waste any of it on failed experiments. This is not a must, but it's a good practice to develop your imagination and find the best solutions without wasting time and looking for them in AE. A couple of words about the interface. My workspace will be set in such a way that there are 2 attached scripts: Motion Tools and Easy Copy. Sometimes I'll also use the FX Console plugin to apply effects. All these scripts you can download for free. These are a required minimum for comfortable work on animation. If you are not familiar with them so far, you can learn more about them from the description for this lesson. The links are in the description section. To get started, let's practice with a simple reveal of some logo and talk about basic easings. Logos of this format, consisting of an icon and text, are quite common. If you need to do everything quickly, you can only display the icon, with the text appearing from behind it. I have a prepared composition. It is a 800 by 600 composition, with frame rate set to 30 frames and duration to 5 seconds. First, let's reveal the logo icon by animating the scale parameter. The reveal will last 10 frames. The composition runs at 30 frames per second. In this case, 10 frames are the best solution. Neither fast nor slow, the golden mean. I often use such timings in practice. You don't necessarily need to animate scale from 0 to 100, since such small parts of the logo always look dirty, especially when there are a lot of them. If an element is animated using scale, you should better display 20 to 30% of its original size in a frame, like this. Let's move the animation 10 frames forward. It will be easier to observe the reveal and adjust it. Let's set the animation keyframes from 30% to 100%. Adjust easings. Select the keyframes and press F9. We need to create a smooth motion at the end of the animation. Go to Graph Editor and adjust the graphs. We'll work in Speed Graph. Make sure you have the same settings. So now, drag this handle to the left as much as possible. This peak is the maximum speed of the animation in the given period. The speed graph looks the same for all animated parameters. At such peaks, it is very convenient to make reveals, disappearances, morphings, about which you will learn in detail in the next lesson. The peak is shifted to the left, so we have created a graph with a slowdown. Let's see what we have got. In the beginning, the animation is fast. Then it slows down. But it looks like something is wrong, doesn't it? What if we do the opposite? A graph with acceleration. Oh, it looks even worse. It is not suitable for the reveal. We need to display the element at the peak of speed to reveal it discretely. Remember this rule. For a discrete reveal, disappearance, or morphing, all the actions must happen at the peak of speed. Let's stick to the graph with a slowdown in the end. What is wrong with this animation? The speed is building up for some frames in the beginning. As a result, the element is almost static. And we do not need that in the reveal. There are several solutions. First, on the first keyframe, drag the lever to the left, making the graph more steep in the beginning. Second, trim the layer at the peak. In this case, you can safely animate from 0 to 100. the object won't be too small in the frame. Great! Next, let's animate the way the text part of the logo will be revealed. It will slide in from behind the icon. Let's animate the position parameter. You can do it in several ways, by animating the layer or the shape parameter. First, layer animation. Let's set the timing to 20 frames to achieve a smoother action closer to the end and set the animation keyframes. Next, let's adjust the graph by moving the handle to the left. Then trim it with a mask. Select the layer, then select Rectangle tool. Note that if this is a shape layer, you must select Tool Creates Mask. Otherwise, a new shape will be drawn instead of a mask. But the mask moves with the layer, so we will also animate it and make the same easing for it as well. Done. Second, animating position of a shape or a group of shapes. In this case, you either animate position of a group or position of each shape separately. There will be nothing difficult with a group. Here everything is the same as with a layer. But there are nuances with shapes. Sometimes, apart from position, you need to animate other parameters, for which the location of a shape's anchor point is crucial. You can center it manually, or, what is much faster, using the Motion Tools script. Select the necessary shapes and, holding Alt, click the scripts button. That's it. Now we can safely animate them. Select the shapes again. Open the tab with their settings, and create a keyframe for position. Let's go 20 frames back and move the letters behind the icon. Apply easings. With the Motion Tool script, you'll be able to do it much faster. Select the keyframes and pick the right easing. Adjusting the sliders, you will quickly figure out what is what. You can find more information about the script via the link in the description for this lesson. Great! Let's draw a mask. Done! Here's an example of a real work. So what advantages does this method provide? Yes, we do not animate the mask, but we have a higher number of keyframes, which is good. As a result, we can reveal the letters one by one. Let's add offsets. We can do it manually or using the script. Apply offsets with a step parameter set to 1 frame. The animation becomes more interesting straight away. You can play around with the offset and adjust it as you wish. If you want to improve the animation further and add effects for the letters, you will have to split each element into separate layers, as an effect applies to the whole layer. For the task, you can use the extract function from the Motion Tools script. As for offsets, here's a real example of animation. The text appears from behind the icon with an offset. You can create offsets for both keyframes and layers. Apart from our script, there are several tools to create more complex offsets, like this free Rift script, or paid Lazy extension. You can find the links to them in the description section. Let's make a simple logo disappearance. As you remember, it is better to do it at the peak of speed. The graph with a slow beginning and an acceleration closer to the end will work perfectly for this task. Otherwise, a disappearance will be too noticeable. Let's take a look at 2 examples. The first has the same graph as in the reveal, the one with a slowdown. The second has a graph with an acceleration. Everything is fine here. This graph works well for a disappearance because smooth animation catches the viewer's attention in the beginning, and then, at the peak of speed, all elements discretely disappear. Such graph settings can be used to animate not only the position parameter, but other parameters as well: scale, rotation, and opacity. Let's make a disappearance. Create keyframes for position and the mask. Move the text behind the icon. Adjust the position of the mask. Next, animate the icon using scale and adjust graphs. Let me remind you again that we use a graph with an acceleration for a reveal and the one with a slowdown for a disappearance. Home assignment. Create several animations like that with reveal and disappearance to make sure you've mastered the rule.